Welcome to the Idaho Business Podcast, the only Idaho podcast focused on providing profits for Idaho people. If you love our state and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Idaho Business Podcast with your friend, host, and all-around great guy and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Idaho Business Podcast. We are pleased to be joined with co-founder and CEO of Knackly Automation Tools. These guys are fantastic over there in Idaho Falls. But Kim, he graduated from BYU. He went on to Ohio State, the University, the Fisher College of Business, got his master's there. He is a Six Sigma black belt. That is a big deal, people. So hope you understand that. He's been in the technology business for over 25 years, and now he is just running Knackly and continue to grow that business as well. So did I get anything wrong besides pronunciation?
No, that sounds good. Thanks, Spencer.
Okay. All right, Kim, well, before we begin, I got to take a quick time out that the Idaho Business Podcast is sponsored by Lookout Credit Union. These guys are a phenomenal group of people. They're a local Idaho business, local Idaho credit union. And if you go into one of their branches and you open up an account, and you mentioned you heard about us on the podcast, you will get a free swag bag, they call it, with t-shirts and all the good stuff. And these guys are great with their service. They're great with their abilities to help you as a person and as a business. But check out the Lookout Credit Union. You can find a link to them on our website, the idahobusinesspodcast.com. So, all right, Kim, looks like you went to school. You're one of those, not everyone goes to school and end up doing what they went to school for. But with what you went into the technology services and you went straight into that career. How did you decide that was the career and line of work for you?
Well, so when I did my undergrad work, it was at BYU at the business management school, and it was in information systems. So right out of there, I got a job at a library software company and worked for them for a few years. And then my wife actually started kind of the beginnings of this business, over 25 years ago. So after she went to law school, started working for a company called Hot Docs that does and started her own consulting firm after that. Then I joined her a few years later. So then 3 years ago, we started Knackly. So we were not happy with the solutions that were out there, knew that we could create a better solution. And now we're on the ride of owning our own software company. So
I love it.
The short story.
I love it. People, not finding what's currently out there to be, appealing enough for them to continue to use. And I like just you're taking action to make something happen that's going to service you and the fellow people that the companies you're going to be serving. So that's great to hear that stuff. Okay, what's one of your favorite parts about this business?
Probably our customers that we work with. Lawyers get a bad rap, right?
They do.
We work, a lot of our business is working with lawyers, but we've been lucky. We work with some really good attorneys that are really thinking about the future and their directions. And, I think the funnest part is when someone tells me, like last week, I had an attorney out of South Carolina, he calls and say, we're using your stuff. We love it, but here's what we want to do. And he's like totally thinking about how he can get better in his own business. Those are really fun conversations to have when you get people that are they're thinking about where to go. Because I love efficiency. I love thinking about how can you make things better. It's super fun when other people are thinking the same thing about their business.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about just the startup phase of it all. I think you're one of my first technology companies that have been on the show with us. How does the startup phase look for a technology business?
Oh, it sucks.
It's almost like any other business.
Tough. It's like any other business. I mean, it's a crapshoot. When you start a business, you've got an idea. It's the same as if I started, like you went through the cleaning, started the cleaning business. You had to take that leap, and it's like, and all the struggles, who to hire, if it doesn't work out, what to do there, where are you going to get your money the next month, how are you going to make payroll. It's all the same. It's just a little bit different on how we go out there and market it and who we sell to, and kind of the different costs that are associated with it.
Was it a little higher startup than
it's an extremely fun ride.
Sure.
But it's, being a business owner is also, it has its stresses too.
Sure. Well, your type of business, I would assume you have a little higher overhead, because as you're starting this type of business, you've got to have maybe your customer service in line. You've got to have other stuff in line that other businesses don't need to, like, especially service industry businesses don't need to worry about right now, So that's
so I mean, there was 9 months of upfront costs that we had to cover before we could even sell a client. Yeah. But at the same time, the advantage that we have moving forward is that we don't have to buy a whole bunch of inventory. I mean, if you're service-based business, that's one thing, but I've got friends who are in inventory intensive businesses, and coming up with how you're going to come up with it. You have to buy inventory to make your next sell. Whereas at least we don't have to buy inventory to make the next sell. It's already in place. We just have to keep improving.
That's true. Yeah, the grocery stores, the fuel distributors, all those people have to buy to be able to sell. So that's interesting connection there. So you being you're my first Six Sigma black belt. No, I guess you're second. I've had Don ZB on as well, but I'm curious about this. This is the Six Sigma thing, because we're all about, within the podcast, we've talked a lot about putting processes into place, being efficient in what you do. How has that helped you to establish this business and to run it?
The interesting thing is that as I went through, I went back, got my master's 4 or 5 years ago, and did this. The interesting thing that it did for me at first was actually it helped me sell better. Okay. Which is kind of, it isn't the outcome I necessarily expected, but because I understand processes and how to help people with those processes and understand how to dive into them and get kind of a baseline, it's actually helped me to sell easier. Now, how it helps me in the business is thinking about process. And, as a business owner, sometimes you get frustrated with your employees. You may like they didn't do things the way you wanted it to. Right. Yep. Right. And, a big takeaway for me was it's not always the people, it's the process. And remembering that it's because I didn't get the processes in place. A lot of the master's program that I went through, I mean, Six Sigma was an outcome of it, but it was the management and what you'd call lean thinking that went inside of it was really where I loved. Because, for me, am I going to get into Six Sigma and some of the calculations and stuff in my business? No, I'm never going to do that. But the thinking behind it, and understanding what Toyota put together with the Toyota production system, and just the thinkers out learning about it, that was immensely, I mean, it's made a huge difference.
I like that. I've taken actually a course on lean systems as well, especially as it applies to the cleaning industry. And
Right.
I totally love that way of thinking of, in our industry, it's like, okay, how many times are you backtracing your footsteps? How many wasted footsteps are going on inside of a building? How
Right.
you know how can you organize things better so you're not spending so much time over here looking for stuff? So it is interesting finding all this stuff out and trying to tighten everything up. So
Right. I mean,
I like
the
that.
idea of value add versus non-value add. Those
Hmm.
extra steps are non-value add. Um, Understanding where everything's put is, and not having to search for it every time. Um, that 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 makes a difference.
Yep. Exactly. So I'm a big proponent for putting systems into place, and if it's something that if it's a problem you're trying to solve every week and it's constantly coming up, there should be a system for that. My
Right.
my my thing that comes up in my business, and I don't know if this is similar to for you, you have these great systems put in place, but then maybe you hire an employee that just doesn't care. And I think you can have the greatest systems known to man, but if you hire the wrong person, they don't give a crap anyways. They're not going to do it. And that's been my
Right.
experience. Have you seen that happen as well?
Yeah. I mean, it's all about buy-in. So,
Yep.
um, what is their buy-in? And part of that comes down to the hiring process.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I've seen is making sure that you get people, especially if you have a set process in place. Are they buying into the company because of more than just I need the paycheck?
Yep. Or
Um,
beer money.
Finding the right people, it makes a big difference. For me, one way that we get buy-in is that if you can
Mm-hmm.
get people to raise their hand and say, "This is dumb. Why are we doing it?" and you listen, that gives you more buy-in to
Yep.
it. Because, like in our company, a lot of the discussions that we'll have around processes and what we're doing, I usually really make a conscious effort to not say anything because I know that as soon as I say something, everyone's just going to go follow in line with it.
Mm-hmm. I've noticed that
So,
in my stuff.
so as soon as I say something, it's like the discussion stops and there's no back and forth feedback. And so that's a big way to get buy-in is you start letting people make suggestions and saying this works, this doesn't work, give them a voice.
I like that. I like that point of view for sure, because that's something people should be working on after you, because you can hire people and you feel like you can hire people that are like you and share your core values, but that would be a good second step to really put the problem solving on them and saying, hey, instead of saying this is the law, go with it, even if it
Right.
doesn't match them. So who was it that said, I can't remember I can't remember, but you'll probably know, if he has a difficult thing to do, he'll put his laziest person on that thing to do because he'll find the easiest way to do it. I can't
So I've
remember
heard
who
that
said.
quote attributed to Bill Gates, but I don't know if
Yeah.
that's really I don't know
Okay.
if that's a real quote. My son had it and was like, that doesn't completely buy with Bill Gates though. So I don't know if
Yeah.
it's really true, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And I agree to that to a certain aspect. I haven't tried it, of course, but yeah, I like the idea of putting ownership on these people, because you hire smart people for a reason. Use them.
Right.
So
Right.
okay, I like it. Well, maybe you from your startup and your years in business. What maybe is there a biggest mistake you've made that you've learned from?
Um, you know, from a business standpoint, we've certainly had our high and lows.
Hmm.
2018 was definitely that time was low for us. Um, as a business owner, sometimes you got to make sure that you're taken care of before, you may have to, it may mean that you got to let someone go. Um, and because if you're not taken care of, you're not going to be able to run the business. I mean, it really just,
Yeah.
you've got to have your head in the space that you're surviving. If everyone else around you is surviving and you're not, that's a problem. So
Yeah,
those are probably
that's
my
good.
biggest mistakes. That's probably the biggest mistakes I've made because of thinking.
I like. Go ahead. I like
No,
that a lot.
that's it.
Yeah, that's the first time someone has said that, and I totally agree with that, because I think so many times business owners think that they just have to sacrifice everything, and then when it doesn't go through, then they're way behind the ball, So that's a good way to look at that. So thank you for that. That's great. Well, perfect. Let's move on to the lightning round real quick here, because we're coming up on the end here. Our lightning round is sponsored by Sensations. They are a tanning salon. They'll do your mani-pedis. They'll give you your massages. They're located in Pocatello and in Twin Falls. These guys are great. And here soon, they're going to have a deal for us to give you as podcast listeners. But for now, go and visit them, and they'll treat you right. So Sensations, and you can find a link to them on our website as well, theidahobusinesspodcast.com. All right, Kim, I learned in your bio that you're a big reader. You says you typically read around 2 books a month. That's great. I'm trying to use.
I had to qualify that. I listen to 2 books a month, but yeah.
Hey, Audible is still reading in my book. So
yeah, that's how I count it.
I'm trying to do 2 books a year in actual reading. So,
Yeah.
But okay. So what's one of the best books or tools or softwares you've used in the past or even now that's really helped you or changed the game for you?
So books, Gold Rats, The Goal. It's really about lean processing. I can't remember what his first name is, but if you look up The Goal on Audible, you'll see it. It's
The Goal
by Gold Rat.
Okay.
The one I'm reading right now, which I have to say it's been a little bit changing in my perspective, is called Play Bigger.
Okay.
Which is kind of rocked how I think about things. I mean,
sure.
So that's been good. And there's so many other,
sure.
But those are probably, Gold Rats is definitely his books. Are great, but they are process oriented. I mean, they're no doubt, but he puts it in a story form that's really good to.
I like it. I like it. I like when people teach in those parables, and it's not so dry,
Right. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, what's one of the biggest myths that business owners need to know the truth about in your mind?
The biggest myth is someone who thinks can I qualify this? Does this mean someone who is thinking about starting a business, the biggest myth that they have about business owners, or the biggest myth that someone may have in their own mind?
Let's go. If you want to do both, that'd be great. But the first one sounds
well,
good.
I get, the biggest myth is that, from someone looking in and saying, I'd like to own my own business is, it's not an easy road. You see, sometimes you think of the people that built, huge businesses, you think that was, looked easy. Sam Walton was, a big hit, 30 years in the making. It took a while to get there, right? Biggest myth in the business is that I'd say that the owner thinks they know everything. That's the biggest mistake that I'd say that plenty of business owners make, because they think they know everything. They don't let their people do the job. That's the reason why they're not growing, is because they're the reason they're the reason why they can't grow, because they're getting in the way of everything, trying to make all the decisions, not letting their people do anything.
I love it. I've said this in many other episodes, and I can't remember who quoted it, but it said, whoever, takes advice only from himself or herself has a full firm master. And I
Yeah.
totally believe that. Totally believe that. Sometimes we can't see the forest from the trees when we're in the midst of
Right.
a battle in our business, and we got to be able to
Right.
give some trust and ownership to our supporting staff and team. So that's a great answer. Okay, what is one question I should have asked that I didn't, Kim?
I have no idea.
I can think of one. If you can think of another one, I'll let you do that too. But Knackly, I know your main niche is attorneys and law practices, but you're also helping these other type of businesses, correct? Can you quickly describe, what exactly Knackly can do for businesses?
Right. Okay. So Knackly is a document generation tool. So it allows you to take your documents that you create every day and get it into so that you can produce them 90% faster. So if you're creating contracts, if you're creating sales proposals, if you're creating, we've got people that are doing reports on it. Things that you're doing repetitively, we're saving you a ton of time. So that's kind of what Knackly does.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Kim, I really do appreciate y'all coming on the show with us today. But for our guests out there, if they're thinking, hey, this Knackly thing seems good, things definitely help our business, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
So the best way is to go to knackly.io and click on request a demo. That's the easiest way to get a hold of us. So You can check us out there.
That's very cool. It's just great to see that, especially tech companies in Idaho. I love it. Most people don't know, but Idaho's biggest number one export is not potatoes, nor is it even wheat. Technology is number one. Wheat is number two and potatoes number three. So I love seeing that kind of thing, especially in our backyard. So I wish you all the best, Kim, and those that are listening, take them up, go do the free demo and see what's going on. So
yeah,
perfect.
Love that.
And to those that are listening, feel free to subscribe, to continue to share these episodes. Give us a nice rating and review if you think I'm not too much of a goofball. And to you guys in the future, go out and conquer your day and have a good day.
Congratulations on spending a couple of minutes getting a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Idaho business community. If you're feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.